Welcome back, guys. We are here for our Madden 23 Owner Mode Week 15 news episode. Let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into talking about what happened last game out. So, last week was a crazy game. Our toughest game of the year we set heading into it, and we made the most of it. A 28-0 victory against the Kansas City Chiefs, shutting them out the entire game. Truly incredible. We take a look at the stats. Offensive yards were par on par. Rushing was not a big story of the day. Obviously, we had some tough running, but so did they. And all the yards were even very much throughout. And kick return, punt returning wasn't a ton. We had one turnover. They had 5. We forced 5 turnovers with this defense. That is huge. That was the story of this game. Clock was very even. Like I said, the difference was those turnovers. And let's get straight into talking about the player-specific stats. It starts with Davis Mills, 229 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That is what you love to see. We don't need him to be incredible. We just need him to do the job, get it done, don't turn the ball over. Patrick Mahomes was 257, 0 touchdowns, 4, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen, 4 interceptions. Our defense dominated him today. If we go to rushing, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was dominating, all right? 12 for 63, 5.3 a carry. That was unstoppable. Dameon Pierce, 15 for 52, 3.5 carry. 7 broken tackles on the day. We love to see that. It's 40 yards after contact, just a beast. Marlon Mack, 3 for 7, had his contribution. Andy Janovich, 3 for 3. He was stuffed once, but 2 really good runs for us. And then Ken Watkins had a rush for 3 on a sweep, I think. Receiving, Sky Moore, he really got some yards on late in the game. He was 6 for 99, 15.5 a catch. Kez Watkins for us, though, 5 for 77, 15.4 a catch. He continues to be electric with the ball. We honestly shut down Travis Kelce pretty well. Only 5 catches, 58 yards. That's 11.6 a catch, but he didn't really have too much of a factor. He was getting a lot of short balls. Deshaun Jackson, 4 for 56, 14 yards per catch, but 2 touchdown grabs on the day. We couldn't really get the deep ball going with him, but we got him in the end zone twice, and that is huge. Their rookie, Justin Ross, stepped up pretty well, 3 for 42. Brevin Jordan had 4 catches, 40 yards, and a tutty. You love to see that. McCole Hardman had 3 for 34 for them. And then Kyle Rudolph with an insane, huge third down play. Found speed and youth beyond his years, 1 for 25. Got us into the red zone, got us a score. We love to see that. John Mechie had 3 for 18. He continues to be a great utility guy for us. And 4 for 14 for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Out of the backfield, we move to blocking. The story of the day, Jaron Christian Sr. They're going to book him with 2 sacks allowed. And honestly, we did our best to expose them with this O-line, and we got the job done. Defense, the story of the game today. C.J. Gardner-Johnson led the way with 12 tackles, backed up by Jerome Baker with 9, and then Rashad Fenton and Chris Harris Jr. had 8. But let's get into the real juicy part of this. Tackles for loss. Derek Nottie had 2 on us. Jonathan Grenard had 2 for us. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had 1. Rashad Fenton had 1. Chris Harris Jr. had 1. Gay had 1. Eric Murray had 1. Both teams were getting in the backfield, limiting the run game. Sacks on the day. 1.5 for Jonathan Grenard. He got in twice to put some pressure on Mahomes. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got in once for the sack to end the third quarter, get us into the fourth quarter. Rashawn Fenton had 1 as well, the corner on the corner blitz. Eric Murray had 1 on a safety blitz, and then the other half sack went to Jerry Hughes Jr. Interceptions on the day. We had 4, and they were spread out evenly. 1 for C.J. Gardner-Johnson that he returned for a pick 6. Steven Nelson to close out the game. Desmond King had a huge one, a huge momentum swing with that one. He was reading the hitch the entire game, finally jumped it, made the play. Derek Stingley Jr. locked down Travis Kelce when Mahomes needed something to happen. Went straight to him. He locked him down, got the pick, and a great return on it. Just incredible, incredible day. Deflection, C.J. Gardner-Johnson had 2, McDuffie had 2, L'Jarius Sneed had 2. Like I said, they were locking down the deep ball pretty well, but we took advantage of them still. Forced fumbles. Eric Murray had a forced fumble on the day on the sack play that he made, along with Nick Bolton forcing a sack. Both of them were recovered both the ways that they went. No blocks, no safeties, but like I said, defensive touchdown. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he continues to be a weapon. I'm so glad we made the move for him. We paid him big. We love to see that. Kicking really wasn't a story of this game. We were 4 for 4 in the extra points. Harrison Butker only had 1 kick attempt right before the end of the first half, and he missed it. So that worked out for us pretty well, finishing out the shutout really for the rest of the game. But yeah, a very solid game. I can't believe we walked out. We just got the turnovers we needed when we needed them, and that was how we got ahead. So now that we have seen what our game was like, let's take a look around the league and look at some other key matchups that happened this week. We talked about it at halftime. The Colts, another tough grind out win they had, 19-14 over the Vikings in Minnesota. And it looks like passing game wasn't crazy, which you can probably tell by the score sheet. It was all about the run game. Jonathan Taylor had 135, 6.8 a carry. He is a monster for them. Nyheim Hines even did well for them as a backup runner, 16 for 50. It was a great game, great grind out game, and they won it. That keeps the pressure on us. We have to keep winning. We have to keep up with their pace. Let's see what else we can look at here. One of our other division mates, the Jaguars, they ate a tough loss today, 34-21 from Dallas. They beat up on them. Jacksonville just could not keep up. It was a great game from Dallas, putting it away. If you look at the stats, Dak Prescott, 358 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Trevor Lawrence, 224, only 1 touchdown on the day. But Ezekiel Elliott was the difference maker today, 62 yards only, but he punched it in twice. And receiving game, Michael Gallup, 138 yards on the day with a tutty. And CeeDee Lamb also joined him in the touchdown department. And what we have to look out for, they are a bottom feeder of our division, but they are still division competition, and they know if they win, they can knock us out of the position we need to be in for the playoffs. We are going up against the Titans next week. They won a tough one against the Chargers, 31-28. If you guys remember, back in like week 4 or 5, we lost to those Chargers. So to see Tennessee come out, get a victory over them is huge. It looks like both teams were scoreless in the first. Looks like Tennessee got 2 touchdowns in the second. Chargers followed them up with a touchdown. Very back and forth game. Chargers tried to make a comeback late, but they could not get it done. If we look over the team stats, it looks like it was a very even game, but 3 turnovers from Chargers is a huge one, so we have to watch out for this defense making plays. That looks like the story of the game also. They won the time possession a little bit. Player-specific stats. Yep, that's the story. Ryan Tannehill had 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Nothing crazy. Justin Herbert had 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. So you have to watch out for this secondary. Austin Eckler had a touchdown on the day along with the Dontrell Hilliard. The receiving game, Robert Woods, 109 and 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen, 107, 1 touchdown. Austin Hooper. Like I said, the story of this game is the defense. If we take a look at it, let's see who made the plays for them. Roger McCreary, our corner, had 1. Kevin Byard, all-pro free safety, had 1. And Bud Dupree had 1. Also, J.C. Jackson, the other side of the ball, had 1 as well. But we've seen this team before. We've seen this defense. We know we have to prevent this defense from being able to make plays against us. We have to watch out for that. And if we take a look at the playoff picture following this week, for us, not a lot of movement. We're still stuck at that 5 seed. But that's only because that's the first wild card spot. Our records pretty match up pretty evenly with the rest of the league. The AFC has been so hyper competitive this year, along with the NFC for that matter. It's honestly just crazy to see. And we know that if we can knock off the Colts, or if the Colts lose team, if we knock them off in the last week, that first round bye could be ours. We could be going from the first wild card to the first round bye like that. I know I can't snap. Don't know why I did that. But if we look over at the NFC side, the Saints are still the number 1 seed. And the NFC East, we've seen a lot of these teams in these past few weeks, and it's really shaken up. So Commanders are now in first place for the NFC East, putting them as the 2nd seed, going up against the Eagles in the wild card, which is the 7th seed. That's crazy. They did the last playoff spot right now. The Giants find themselves at the 6th spot. And the Cowboys, after a dominant game, they're not even in playoff spot right now, which is wild. That is how competitive this entire league has been this year. Just incredible to see, really. If we take a look at the weekly awards, let's go in order. Let's not jump the gun on anything. I know you guys see it, but let's take a second. NFC Offensive Player of the Week was Kyler Murray. He was 21 for 31, 292 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Tua Tagovailoa, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week, had 23 for 27. I can't read, my apologies. 250 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns with that electric offense. Probably one of them went to Brandon Cook if I had guessed, but don't even worry about it. NFC Defensive Player of the Week went to Asamoah, the middle linebacker for Minnesota. But what we are really here to talk about is AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Our man C.J. Gardner-Johnson, 12 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, and he took that interception to the house for the pick 6. Obviously, you shut out Kansas City. You have to have a spearhead for why that happened. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson was the man all day long. Very quickly, we're going to go over the players looking to re-sign this week. We have Pharaoh Brown up here. We love him. Great guy, but he's not too great. Brevin Jordan's the future at the tight end position. Kyle Rudolph's still killing it as a vet. We're not going to give him an offer. We're going to give him the chance to test free agency. I think he deserves that. Davion Davis, he's really... Our receiver room, he's not really fitting in too well. He's there. He makes 1 or 2 plays, but nothing crazy. I don't think we can pay him that money. I think we have to let him walk as well. He's just not too great. Josh Rosen, he's been filling in great. He's been a great signing since we traded our boy Cam Newton. But if I look at the future of this team, I see Davis Mills as a temporary starter. I think he's going to move into a backup. I think we're going to have to draft the future of this team. No matter where the season ends us, I think Josh Rosen is going to walk, and I think it's fair for him. He gets a new opportunity. Tay Davis, middle linebacker, age 26. Interesting, because we don't have a ton of linebacker depth. Not a lot of great linebackers, but he's already 26. He hasn't progressed very well. I think we let him walk as well, save the cap, maybe make a big move in the offseason, especially if we make a deep push in the playoffs. We might need to load up. This might be our time. So we'll let him walk, and that's it for this week. And talking over with Lovie Smith, he's made some changes to the way he's operating practice. Knowing we have some focuses on the defense who has been carrying us the entire game, he wants to keep that development going. And he's putting a lot more time into our cornerbacks, which could be huge with keeping Chris Harris in the loop, not letting him deteriorate on his skills as he gets older, but also developing guys like Derek Stingley Jr., who are dominating right now. As young rookies, we need to keep that momentum going, develop them well, keep them going for years on end. And real quick, before we get into anything else, obviously, if we take a look at the division, we know how it settles out. Colts are 10-4. We beat them at the beginning of the season. We know we have a regular season finale matchup against them, and it could be huge because we are 9-4-1, right on their tails. Another division matchup. We have to keep the pressure on because we don't know if they're going to lose before we see them. So we need to keep up pace, or else we lose all of our chances at not only staying in the playoffs, not only winning the division, but getting the number 1 seed for that bye in the wild card round. Nothing is decided just yet. So now we get ready. We know that the Tennessee Titans beat us earlier on the year when we were having our stretch of inconsistency. Coming off 4 huge victories, let's see if we can figure out how to put it together and get the victory this time out. Taking a look at the injury department, Derrick Henry has a broken collarbone, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year. We do not have to worry about the King Henry. So that could be huge, a huge change to the game plan now. Let us see how we can adjust to that. Let's see who we do have to worry about going into this game. So at quarterback, obviously, we know most of this roster. We're going to go through this as quickly as we can because we have seen them earlier on this year, but Ryan Tannehill is still leading the charge for them. Malik Willis, he is a rookie this year, but it looks like they're not ready to give him the reins. A halfback filling in for Derrick Henry is going to be Hassan Haskins, backed up by Dontrell Hilliard. Fullback, they have Tony Carter. We're going to run through these receivers: Robert Woods, Traylon Burks, Byron Pringle. A solid group, nothing crazy though. Austin Hooper at tight end. The line it's solid. It's nothing great. They've definitely had a better line in the past, but hopefully we can take advantage of it along with the run game. That's not going to be as effective without King Henry. For the defense, this is the strength of their team, honestly. Jeffrey Simmons off the right edge. Justin Zimmer and Tyre Tart locking down the middle. Bud Dupree is coming off the left side. Middle linebacker, they have Zach Cunningham. And the right outside linebacker, they have the young Harold Landry, who's been very well for them. These corners, Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, Caleb Farley, Elijah Molden. At safety, they have Kevin Byard and Amani Hooker. A solid, young, developing defensive secondary that has done very well. They're coming off a 3-interception game against Justin Herbert. Huge game. At kicker, they got Josh Lambo. At punter, they got Brett Kern. We have a lot to worry about. Let's figure out how we stop that. So any other time of the year, I would say we have to lock down the run. But without Derrick Henry, with this weak O-line, I don't think that's the focus. I think today we are defending the short pass. We know Ryan Tannehill isn't anything crazy. We know he's a pretty average quarterback. So we're going to defend the short pass. That's going to leave us vulnerable to some double moves, intermediate pass coverage, maybe. But I think we have the safety help. Our safeties have played very well this year. I think we can cover it. I say we defend the short pass. Easiest completions, if we can lock them down, we definitely might halt the momentum of this team. Offensive game plan. What do we do here? This is very rough. They run a lot of blitzes. The move might just be to counter the blitz, try to put in some extra blockers. And I think that's what we're going to go with. That was the suggestion. I say we go with it. Let's take a look at the player health real quick before we certify anything. Honestly, everyone's pretty healthy. Everyone's pretty easy. I say we stay with full pads. Obviously, there's a lot of development for this team. We're in a great spot for this point in the year. I like our focus players. Let's go over the team goals. Looking over the goals they've submitted, Coach Lovie Smith wants us to allow under 200 yards. They don't have a dominant run game. We're not confident in their passing game. Let's lock them down. And I love the aggressiveness. And honestly, you'll see a tone. There's a lot of aggressiveness with these goals this week. Offensive coordinator, let's 300 plus yards. It's a tough defense, but you know what? We have been on such a hot roll. We have found our groove. 300 yards should be easy money for us. I like it. Defensive coordinator, allow 14 points or less. We held the Kansas City Chiefs to nothing. Nothing. Zip. 0 on the board. 14 should be nothing crazy to ask for against this offense that doesn't really have a desire, like a way to go, especially with Derrick Henry out of the game. I have said, let's be ball hawks. All right, they don't know the style they're going to play this week without Derrick Henry. Force 3 turnovers. Let's get that ball, get it out of their hands, get it in our hands, give us more opportunities to score. Let's get it moving. And I have some unfortunate news. We just finished up practice, and we have Derek Stingley Jr. injured with an ACL sprain. We got to be grateful. It could have been a lot worse. But that means he is out for this next game against Tennessee. We need every man at this point. Let us see how we can adjust our depth chart. See what's going to be happening here. So for this week, and this week only, I'm not sure I'm super excited about this, but we're not going to play CJ Gardner-Johnson, that sub-linebacker position that we've been playing him in all year. He has been phenomenal at that role, but without Derek Stingley Jr., I need to know I can cover these receivers. He's going to be our corner number 2. And if we take a look at the stats, his man coverage is an 85, his zone coverage is an 88. This is why he's so deadly. He can literally play any position on the field. We're going to line him up at corner this week. He's a bit of an undersized corner at 5'11", but he is bigger than Chris Harris. So we're going to go for it. His awareness is a 91. He should be on par with Derek Stingley where he was at. Hopefully, he is not a fail in coverage. I have confidence in him. We haven't seen him do it all year at the corner position. His speed, that's probably something we should look at. A 90 speed. He should be able to keep up with a decent amount of receivers here. I say we go for it, take a shot at it, see what happens. We have to try something else. If it doesn't work, obviously we get there when our backup corners, put him back to sub linebacker, see what happens. But I like the decision. I like the idea. If we're going to take a look, I think we run some upgrades for some players, and we have. Let's take a look at the development for this week. So in an unfamiliar look for Dameon Pierce, we saw him really develop in his catching in traffic, releasing, short route running, spin move. He's obviously a power back, a dominant power back this young in his career. But if we can see him develop into getting more involved in the passing game, that could keep him on the field, not just for those big ones where you need a tough runner. He could be on the field all game long. That could be even more deadly. And we also saw John Mechie get even better. He improved in his catching traffic, his general catching, his short route running. He is such a utility guy. He may never be a superstar receiver, but he's the type of receiver you need on any team if you're going to be successful. Davis Mills continues to just slowly develop. Honestly, I think we've all talked about it. I'm not sure he's ever going to become this crazy great player, but we saw him improve this week. We saw him get better. His short throw accuracy, his throwing on the run, his throw power has gotten even better. He's going to be a great backup, I think. I think that's his ceiling, and I think that's what we're going to go for. I think we're going to look to another quarterback in the draft, but he's doing the job as it is now. And while we have a moment, we also saw the development from Royce Freeman, Farrell Brown, not huge contributors to this team, but contributors nonetheless. And with all of that, that means we are finally set, ready to go. We are leaving NRG Stadium, heading over to Nissan Stadium in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. We're ready for our Week 16 matchup in which we take on the Tennessee Titans. Coming off a 4-game win streak, which we have dominated some great teams. This is a team, not a great team, but we've lost to them earlier this year. We know we need to keep up the pace with the Colts, which is a game that is only 2 weeks away following this game. We have to keep up the pressure because we don't know if they're going to lose before we get there. Even if they do, that puts us at a pretty even spot where that game still matters. We need a huge win. We need to keep this momentum alive, and I think we can do it. And I hope you guys do too. So I will hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, remember to like, comment, subscribe. I just threw this in my face. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications down below. And I will see you guys back for this next game where we go up against the Tennessee Titans in Week 15. I will catch you guys all then.